The recent introduction of a bill to return Nigeria back to the parliamentary system of government in 2031 has generated various arguments. The bill, sponsored by 60 lawmakers in the House of Representatives, was introduced during plenary. It is instructive to note that Nigeria currently runs a presidential system of government which allows for a direct election of the president. But if you also recall that Nigerian practiced the parliamentary system of government from 1960 to 1966 before the military long interruption. So proponents of the return to the system that ushered in the First Republic argue that it will reduce costs and promote greater accountability, while critics also counter that it has the capacity to empower an undisrupted political class. But irrespective, the lawmakers that introduced these bills see a glimpse of hope, hence setting a timeline of 2031 for the constitutional amendment to allow the transition. The timing of the proposed legislature raises significant suspicion, one which is the concern that the lawmaker seems to be aiming for when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu might have finished his constitutional allowed tenure, hence raising it till that time. But whatever the controversy is, the big question or the big story is, will such a return change the narrative of corrupt and ineffective political class, or is another round of discussion that will fade in the course of time? Whichever narrative, we need to look at these today on the big story, and that is governance, call for the return of parliamentary system. And we're talking about governance and the call for the return of the parliamentary system of governance. And truly to help us talk about this is no other person but someone that seems to be pushing for true democracy in its form. And I'm talking about Kovie Ikpe-Chukwu Andrew. Good morning and welcome to the show, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you very much.
Well, let's just quickly go to it. The group of 60 lawmakers, known as the Parliamentary Group, seem to have sparked the controversy and discourse on the issue of the return of the parliamentary system of governance. Now, according to their spokesperson, and I'm talking of no other person but Abdul Samad Dasuki, while briefing our House press reporters, said that the frustration being experienced on account of the expensive nature of the presidential system of governance and the overwhelming power of the president will be checkmate with the parliamentary system of governance. I'm just a bit curious to get your reaction as it concerns that. Do you see that as reasonable enough for such a call for us to return to the parliamentary system of governance, all about the issue of cutting down the powers of the Mr. President and making him more effective? Do you see this as a genuine reason why we should return back to the parliamentary system of government? As much as I would love to get your full reaction concerning this recent bill being introduced in the House of the Representatives.
All right, thank you very much. It's indeed pleasurable to see that Nigerians are gradually beginning to wake up to reality.
Okay.
You see, it is no longer business as usual, whereby governance in this country has become more of what I consider to be paddy activities.
Okay.
It's quite unfortunate that I don't even whether to say we have lost it completely, looking at the emergence of people in governance, yeah, and the corruption that is associated to it, the bribery activities that is all associated to it. It makes it literally difficult for we to have quality personalities in governance. And I think as a result of this, it has really put governance to the hands of few individuals. Instead of society-run governance, we just have governance that is run by few individuals.
Okay.
You understand? So this kind of empowerment that they have secured or manipulated the system to themselves has made the generality of the citizen become more of helpless. It's as if they no longer have a say in what is happening in their nation. And you see, it's as a result of this now that you now begin to look at the powers that is bestowed upon the presidency and, more importantly, the executives.
Yeah.
You see, the executive have become so powerful through the presidential system of governance, because some of the things that are supposed to checkmate their activities, looking at even the legislature, who are supposed to do oversight function, you see that the oversight function is being subdued by the too much power invested in the executive, to the point that the executive can go ahead to do whatever is convenient for them, even if it is at the detriment of the citizen. You just find out that even the legislature will just lie low,
more like a rubber stamp,
and behave as if what the executive is trying to do is none of their business. Somehow we don't really know where the disconnection is, even though we...
So you are for the call for us to return back to the parliamentary?
Of course, if you ask me, because if you look at the parliamentary system of governance,
yes,
is a very unique system of governance where the legislature is more powerful than the executive. You see, the executive are subject, are responsive to the legislature. If the executives are not functioning, the legislature has power to remove them and appoint new executive. You see, on this note, there is no way that the head of state or the cabinet members will become so powerful at the detriment of the citizen. Because the legislator is a combination of citizens from different regions put together. And as such, they represent the citizen, unlike that of the presidency, where you now have a House of Representative member and the Senate, who don't even seem to be representing the people.
Okay, now, wait, let's try and really do this, because Nigeria operated the parliamentary system of governance pre-independence and during the First Republic. It was that very coup of January 15th, 1966 that truncated this whole arrangement and brought in that long reign of military era up to we having now the presidential form of our government. But I just want a quick view, because you seem to really support the parliamentary system. Do you feel if we had continued in that light of parliamentary system of government, the narrative would have been different in Nigeria as of today? Is that your feeling?
Obviously, it would have been different. At least we would have had a Nigeria that we all will be proud of, because every region will be responsive to whatever is within their region. And you know, there would have been this collective association at the federal level, which would have augmented development and progress in the nation. You see, this presidency system of governance has really hampered on a lot of things, whereby is more like the winner has it all, or one will say the winner takes it all. And it is very disheartening to see that a system of government whereby citizens barely have a say in what happens in the course of governance. We see what is happening today. Citizens are in one way crying on the other. You saw what happened in May 29th when the president came up and a subsidy was removed, and you will see all the associated hardship today. You see, if it were to be the parliamentary system of governance, you see, the head of state cannot just come up and say, I am taking this decision. No, it has to be looked into. The generality of citizens must have input. We must come to that point of agreement that, okay, this thing is suitable for us. It is suitable in our region. If it's suitable in your region, okay, let's come together to implement it. And that is what makes the parliamentary system beautiful. But in the case of the presidency system, the government can take a decision without even having to consult with the citizens. And the citizens have no choice. They are going to live under the decision that has been taken by the government in power.
But people will argue that if you feel the citizens will live under the dictates of the president, the citizens unilaterally elected the president. That's the beauty of the presidential system. So anything that comes to them, it's what they collectively agreed to do. So, but putting it through the parliamentary, we did not look as if some selected few are the ones now taking decision for everybody, but rather than the style of the presidential.
You see, if you really want to look at it in that light,
yes,
you see, yes, generally we should understand that democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Yes, the citizens come together to decide who becomes their president in the parliamentary, in the presidential system of governance. You see, but at the same time, the question is, who are the class or category or the group of citizens? You know, because this is where influence come into play. In most times, even corruption comes into play. At the end of the day, you just realize that we may
people that even voted
or may not get the best. Because in the process, something has either gone wrong either way. And as such, it is what is provided for you that you will have to be subject to. So it may not generally be a general will of the citizen, but somehow anybody who emerges automatically has to run the affairs of governance, and everybody have to be subject to the period with which that government will run. I think this is the only thing about the presidential system of government, because one, they are swift to take action, unlike the parliamentary system that requires time, because they have to the
need to wait,
and the cabinet have to look into issues before decisions are made. But that of the presidency, they can just wake up the next day and make a decision, either by executive power or whatever it is.
But don't you think at the moment, with the present difficulties we are being faced with, a swift response to the issues will definitely be the way out, rather than have to reason it out? Because would that not bring more problem? I know you said initially that if the parliamentary system of government was running, the issue of fuel subsidy would have been deliberated on right there in the parliament. But don't you feel the problem we are now neck deep in? Swift decisions need to be taken without having the recourse of going to the parliament that seems to always want to delay issues before they are being resolved.
Well, the simple thing I want to make very clear here is, you know, when it comes to decision making, it's not really about the swiftness or the slowness of the decision. It is about the impact the decision is going to make. You see, when you don't have a concrete plan with well-detailed information with which you want to make decision, then automatically whatever decision you are going to make, whether swift or delayed, is not going to be impactful, and it will not affect the citizen positively. The essence of making decision is to ensure that you are able to provide answers to questions and to solve problems amicably. You see, this is where it is essential, where we really need to look into processes before decisions are made. It is not just about the swiftness. You see, this is why sometimes we find the presidential system of governance making too many wrong decisions, because they don't seem to look into the issues properly, effectively first, before taking decision. And as such, they take decision, and at the end of the day, somehow it is not productive or is negative. At the end, they come back to say, no, that decision, we retrieve it again because it's wasn't giving us the needed result. But if it was something that was properly looked into, you would have been able to deduce all the needed factors required, and you would have been able to see that, yes, this decision is either is a short-term or a long-term decision, you know, it will be more effective. I think this is just the difference between the parliamentary and the presidential system of governance. Presidential system of governance can run a long-term plan.
Okay.
But that of the parliamentary does not have such long-term plan, because they work bit by bit. And if in the parliamentary, there is no duration of time for the expiration of a particular parliament. Unlike that of the presidency, that you can say, oh, the president will lead for maybe 4 years or whatever. You understand? So these are just the differences, but all things being equal, I still stand to say that the parliamentary system of government, it still plays a more better and vital role, because it is majorly people's governance and people's representation.
Okay, anyway, you've just represented the fact, and I'll plead with you to hold on. We need to go on a break now, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion looking at the recent call for the return to parliamentary system of government. And is it timely, or are we just going to be faced with the same set of politicians that people feel are not the right ones to do or to deliver us from the present predicament we seem to be? Let's go on a break.